Did you know that 76.5% of the population in America, which is about 252 million people, is a part of some form of religious practice, and about 50 million kids last year enrolled for public schools? So why isn't there a subject in religion for public schools? Public schools should teach world religions because it is a part of our history, American politics, and there is a difference between preaching and informing religion to students. My main points cover religion and history, religion and American politics, and the difference between preaching and informing. Public schools should teach world religion because it is a part of our history. In history class, we learn almost anything that happened in the past. An article written by Linda K. Weathermeyer in June 2016, she writes, quote, "It would be hard to teach Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter without talking about the Puritans, or discuss Elie Wiesel's Night without learning about Judaism and the Holocaust," end quote. In the class, we learn about different events that were all influenced by religion. For example, the Renaissance. The Renaissance forever changed Europe and still has an effect on us today in our culture. Another thing we learn is how the Greeks based their democracy off the belief in gods and goddesses. In an article posted by Wessiv, they state, quote, "The councils of Greek city-states would hold the gods and goddesses in regard to the highest authority," end quote. Even the Lady Justice, who we see in every courthouse today, was inspired by a Greek goddess named Themis, which leads me to my next point. Public schools should teach world religion because it is a part of American politics. Every public school has some form of government or economic class. An American government has to deal with other countries that have different practices and religions that our government needs to learn and understand. In an article written by John A. Reeves in 2017, he states, quote, "That understanding religion and cultural issues is necessary if you want to join some of the most important discussions about world politics today," end quote. As I mentioned in my last point, the Greek goddess of Themis is the Lady of Justice we use in court. We also use the Greek foundation for our democracy. Our country is also heavily inspired by Christianity. Our Pledge of Allegiance mentions God. When you are in court, you swear on a Bible to always tell the truth. Public schools need to educate these kids about these doings in hopes that they become more aware of their surroundings, which leads me to my next point. Public schools should teach world religions because there is a difference between informing students and preaching to students about religion. In 1963, the case Abington School District versus Schmepp was about whether or not prayer should be mandatory in public school classrooms. Early Schmepp did not want to participate in his morning prayers with his class, so his family sued the school. The judge ruled, quote, "State-sponsored devotional Bible readings in public schools constitute an impressionable religious exercise by government," end quote. There were many other cases that then prohibited preaching in public school classrooms. But there's a simple difference between informing and preaching. When you are preaching, you are proclaiming something. But when you are informing, you create a safe spot for passing on knowledge. You are treating the religion simply as a subject for students to learn and not making any claims that you believe in it or forcing any other student to believe. Because of Americans' history and politics, we need to know more about world religion, and there is a difference between informing and preaching. That is why public schools should teach world religions. If you know anyone who has attended public school or teaches at a public school, you should ask them the difficulties they go through in trying to avoid religion, so you can understand that this movement needs to happen. Thank you.